Hello, and welcome back or welcome to this channel. I appreciate you finding us and considering following us. We're using the book Kamatthana, which is available to you as an ebook and free download on this channel if you'd like to follow along. And today we're on page 17. On page 16, we started talking about merit or boon, and there will be a theme throughout Buddha's teachings that activities in the world, I've used this example before, bowing down, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's a very wholesome activity or action, but that all real change and all life that has a spiritual or Dhamma foundation comes from the heart. So it's all about changing our mind, which will, by nature, change our speech and change our actions. We're on page 18 today, so let's get started. Make merit to reduce suffering by developing wholesome qualities in the mind. On page 17, we concluded by talking about how merit can serve as a kind of protection. We'll be more inclined to have wholesome friends, engage in more wholesome activities. Must give up alcohol and drugs and certain kinds of speech and other activities, let's say gambling, etc. So it says here qualities in the mind. And in Forest Monk tradition, we often say the heart mind. Another definition, a merit, that which cleanses the mind. Merit is measured by the quality or the purity of the mind that performed the action. So this is really critical. We're going to learn later the definition of karma, and karma is based on intention. It's not based on the action itself or even the consequences of the action, but it's based on intention. Secular law also recognizes this. I'm thinking of but first-degree murder is having planned and thought out and carried out this crime, but accidentally with killing someone, perhaps a car accident or who knows what, is a completely different kind of crime with different consequences. That may not be the best example, but the point is we have to purify the mind so that our speech and our actions come from a pure place. And this is so much more difficult than it sounds. It's not just a matter of religiously following the 5 precepts. There is a mind or a portion of a mind that we can refer to as subconscious, and it has a powerful influence in the way we think, speak, and act, but we don't know about its influence because we're not conscious of it. And the mind that we are conscious of is a liar, and it likes to tell us the best possible story about why we're doing the things that we do. So the purification of the mind is more complicated than it may sound because it's a process of shining light into the portions of the mind that we have never been in touch with. We didn't know exist. Usually it's not very beautiful in there, and we have to face it, or we can't defeat it or let go of it. I'm thinking of this image of a rental unit, a storage unit, where things have been stored away from years past. Our lives may have changed. We may have moved out of that area, etc. We forgot all about having those things in storage. And then for some reason, it's brought to our attention. We have to unlock that door, that rusty lock and that rusty door, and roll it up and get rid of, item by item, those things which are unwholesome, unhealthy, that cause suffering in any form to us or others. So that is a quality measured by the quality, purity of the mind that performs the action. Merit and demerit are inseparable. They are not found in actions. They are states of mind. So that reiterates what I said. Our karma is determined by our intention. Our intention is often hidden from us, or it's wolf in sheep's clothing. We like to think of it in the best possible light, but on closer examination, we see how selfish, self-centered, greedy, and so on, that those qualities may also be interwoven in our intention. The awareness that knows the value of things lies in the heart. So we're trying to distinguish the intellectual understanding, the philosophical understanding, the thing that the world calls knowledge or information. We're trying to distinguish that as, I'm going to call it a brain function. And we're distinguishing that from a heart function, which in the Dhamma is wisdom. So the distinction between intellect or philosophical understanding, the ability to remember and articulate the Dhamma or other things we've learned, is not the practice of Dhamma. It's just a mental exercise called sankharas. So here's some more definitions and ways to consider merit. Dana means generosity. We mentioned that on the last page, different forms generosity can take. Releasing attachment to material possessions, attachment to mental states, and immaterial things. So generosity is the counterfact to being greedy, to being attached, to being materialistic. But that's just the first step. That's actually the easiest step. There's a whole new trend in the West for tiny homes, for downsizing, for simplifying one's life, for to recycle and to reuse, etc. All very healthy, good concepts. But that is just the beginning. It says releasing attachment to material possessions. And remember, our attachments have the reason we're attached is the emotional element that we relive when we think about or use or handle, touch some item. We say, oh, my mother gave this. Oh, this was my grandmother's. Oh, I got this on our 5th wedding anniversary, or my son made this in kindergarten. Whatever it is, it's the emotion or feeling that we get when we think about or use some material thing. And it's much more difficult to make a donation to something we have an emotional attachment to. And the extreme form are hoarders. They have an emotional attachment to the paper cup they got at a fast food restaurant. And all of us have this emotional attachment to various things. I used to sell antiques. That was my livelihood. And I would go to estate sales, or I would be called by a family to buy things from a deceased relative. And it was always an emotional story about a teacup, or my sister got the teacup that I know my mother wanted me to have. This emotion is the cause of our suffering and not the teacup. So I've talked about being attached to emotions. That's a mental state, and to ideas, immaterial things. People are extremely attached to political views, to religious views, to gender identity, just all kinds of things that are actually immaterial, that's just their idea about it. So the greatest dana, that's the greatest form of generosity, is Dhamma, given with a mind filled with compassion. So we might have that definition as a kind of goal, that we would like to be a life form where Dhamma is just manifest when we're walking, pushing the food cart in a grocery store. And when we meet people in real life, or hear stories on the news or on television, the sense we have is one filled with compassion. In our culture in America now, and in other countries as well, there's too often a sense of hatred. We just hate some group because they're not doing what we think they should be doing. That's a mental state. And we blame them, we criticize them, we condemn them, we want to punish them. And I don't mean just criminals. It can be races or religions, or what do we call them, immigrants, etc. It can be any of those things. Too many of us are lacking a sense of compassion. And compassion is very different from feeling sorry for someone. We'll be talking about that later. Giving dana is giving happiness to others. That's a great definition. Ultimately, it's a win-win when it makes us happy to see how we can make others happy, and the joy that we get in seeing their happiness. And that's called a sympathetic joy. And there are these 4 abodes or houses or castles that are start with loving kindness. That's a place to live where we have a beautiful life if it's a life filled with loving kindness. We have a beautiful life if we have a life filled with compassion. We have a beautiful life if we have a life filled with sympathetic joy. It's a word or a concept that I was totally unfamiliar with until I came in contact with the Dhamma. It means, very simply, we're happy when something good happens to someone else. We're happy when the other team wins and makes all those supporters happy that their team won. We're happy when someone gets a promotion, even if we don't, if they get a raise, if they get pregnant, if they find a spouse, if they take a nice trip or buy a new car, etc. There's no tinge of jealousy. There's no tinge of competition that's saying keeping up with the Joneses. There's just none of that. We're just so happy that our neighbor's child got an award in school. We can smile and congratulate them with a pure heart. Dana balances getting by giving. In our capitalist culture, it's all about getting. And as we know, a small minority own most of the control, most of the wealth. And they're real mad that there are homeless people or people in need, and they very often resent the suggestion that maybe they could be of some help to the less fortunate. It gives us balance. These billionaires are out of balance, just extremely out of balance. So giving and getting should be a more balanced activity. And if it's going to be out of balance, then let it be on the side of giving. And give society balance. Yes, our society is so out of balance now. It's just really remarkable in such a short time, 20, 30 years, that such an imbalance has arisen. It focuses on others and not on things. Oh, wow, imagine that. Imagine living a life concerned about other beings, all beings from the smallest insect to the largest mammal, and all the people that we could be compassionate towards. It develops friendships, compassion, and concern. We want to help free others from suffering, and this helps free us from unhappiness. So being greedy is an extreme, acute state of unhappiness. And I want to stress that all of the charities that we have in the world, all the volunteers that we have, all those people, Doctors Without Borders and all the United Nations agencies, etc., they're all great. They're really great, and they're doing good work. But our work as a Dhamma practitioner is to purify our mind so that we will be inspired to do those things which are most beneficial. That is, they're the most wholesome and they have the greatest impact. Sometimes, it's clear that just giving poor people money doesn't necessarily work. Just giving them a free meal at a food kitchen, it's not that we shouldn't do it, it's just not as effective as having a pure mind, a pure heart filled with loving kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy. It becomes easier to be happy, and the more inner happiness, the less we need from the world. So we give more, use less, save the environment by living in harmony with nature. This is a quote from a very famous monk in Thailand. He's written a very huge book about the Dhamma. He's still a living individual. in Thailand. I loved this definition that when we're happy, we need less. And the capitalist mantra is, if you don't buy this thing, you'll never be happy. And then the next model comes out, and your model is no longer capable of making you happy. You need a new model, the model 15, or I don't know enough about that world. At any rate, the greater our sense of well-being, the less we expect or demand from the world. That is possible if we practice meditation and mindfulness. So here's the purest form of dana. Generosity is the love for all beings, the tolerance in judging others. When we have a clearer understanding of karma, we have no need to judge anyone. Karma's another version of it is reaping what we sow. We're not angry towards anyone. We're not condemning towards them. Certainly not if we're compassionate and have goodwill towards them. We just want all beings to be happy. May all beings be happy. We're going to define happiness a little later. It's not the happiness that we get from things or from relationships. It's something we find in our Dhamma heart. So, forgiveness is the greatest boon. Now, we could talk for an hour about that. Forgiveness starts with a compassion towards ourself for the mistakes we've been making in this life, the misunderstandings that we've had, that is, about the nature of life, the misunderstandings we've had about why people are the way they are, why we are the way we are, and the judgments, the criticisms, the condemnations, the anger, the resentments that have arisen in us towards others, almost entirely because we weren't getting what we wanted. So it says forgiveness directly accesses the inner mind of the giver. There's also a saying, there will be no spiritual, just a minute. There will be no spiritual progress without forgiveness. I remember taking a meditation course for 10 days, and I was giving one of the participants a ride to the airport, and in the course of our conversation on the way to the airport, she was in tears at a realization that she had in the course and was still confused about. And she asked me, does this mean I have to forgive my ex-boyfriend? And the answer is yes, but you have to start by forgiving yourself for having blamed him in the first place, or having expected him to meet your needs. So forgiveness directly accesses the inner mind of the giver. Remember, this is our heart mind. The one who can forgive possesses the greatest and strongest mind and reaps the highest good result. So, wow, how can we state more clearly the power of forgiveness and how essential it is to our spiritual path. And while it starts with ourselves, it spreads out to touch the lives of those people who we have had an adversarial relationship. I will tell a story I had. I was meditating in Thailand, and I had been meditating for years, and a real voice that seemed to be in the room, not just a mental voice, said out of nowhere, I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, said, "You love your father." And I remember laughing, just a short little burst of laugh, and I said, "No, I don't." And the voice, with the most incredible compassion and forgiveness towards me, said, "Yes, you do." And instantly I said, "Oh my God, I do." I had a very difficult relationship with my father, and for 50 years I had been angry and blaming and condemning towards him. And if someone asked me, I would have told them I hated my father. But through the practice of meditation and getting down into these deeper levels of what might be called the subconscious mind, although that's not what it's called in the Dhamma, I accessed an obstacle to my own progress. My own progress was inhibited by this hanging on to, this clinging to, this need to be angry and to blame someone else. And as a matter of fact, it was a very short time after that, a matter of a few months, that a significant progress was made on the path. And I believe sincerely that would not have been possible without that just moment, that just second or 2 seconds of an open heart, a letting go of the need to blame and to be resentful, and to see that I had the perfect father for me based on my karma. Forgiveness is the greatest gift. So I think I just gave a great example of how I was gifted. My father was deceased. He'd been deceased for almost 40 years. So it wasn't a matter of going and finding him and telling him I'm sorry. I can do that in my mind. But one of the consequences of that experience was I used to name by name my mother, various family members and friends and important teachers to me, etc. And I named them in my prayers, sending them a blessing, including beings I didn't know, and so on, but I never included my father. I intentionally, specifically, never mentioned wanting my father to be blessed. So, of course, all that just fell away, and I'm the one who got the blessing. Failing to totally forgive all transgressions will prevent you from experiencing full liberation or nibbana. So it's an essential part of the practice. It's an essential form of merit. That's what we're talking about at this time. Forgiveness means to give up blaming oneself and others. I think I've already covered that. I think I've already tried my best to articulate how essential the giving up. Now, giving up is a form of generosity. We're letting go of things. We're blessing ourselves when we surrender, when we let go of these mental and emotional states that are keeping us a prisoner. Okay, well, thank you if you've made it to the end. I appreciate it very much. If you feel others might be blessed by listening to these Dhamma talks, please do consider pressing like and subscribe, and we'll hope the Dhamma can reach as many beings as possible. Take care.